The day I turned 87, I sat alone in my kitchen and realized that almost everything I had spent my life chasing had been left behind somewhere I could no longer reach. My name is Walter, and I am 87 years old. That morning, with a cold cup of coffee in my hands and a quiet house around me, I finally understood what had really mattered all along. When I was young, I thought life was something you built with bigger and better things. A bigger house, a better car, more money in the bank, a job people respected. I grew up in a small town where nobody had very much, and I promised myself early on that one day I would have more than my father did. My father was a decent man. He worked at a machine shop for nearly 40 years. He came home tired every night, sat in the same chair, ate the same dinner, and somehow still found the energy to ask me about my day. Back then I thought he was too simple. I thought he had settled for a small life. I could not wait to leave that town. By the time I was 25, I had a good job in the city. By 35, I had a bigger one. I married a wonderful woman named Helen, and together we had 2 children, a boy and a girl. From the outside, it probably looked like I had everything a man could want. But somewhere along the way, I started believing that my job was the most important thing I could give my family. I told myself I was working late for them. I missed school plays because I was in meetings. I missed birthdays because I had business trips. I missed little moments because I thought there would always be more time. I still remember one evening when my son was maybe 9 years old. He had built something out of wood in the garage with his grandfather. It was crooked and rough and honestly looked like it might fall apart if you touched it, but he was so proud of it. He stood in the doorway holding it with both hands while I sat at the kitchen table with papers spread out in front of me. "Dad, come look." I said, "In a minute." He stood there for a few more seconds, then nodded and walked away. I never did go look. That memory stayed buried somewhere inside me for years. At the time it seemed so small. 1 minute, one little moment. But when you get old, you realize your life was made of moments exactly like that. Years passed the way they always do, faster than you think they will. The children grew up. My son moved 3 states away. My daughter got married and started a family of her own. Helen and I got older together. There were dinners and holidays and quiet evenings in front of the television. There were arguments, too, and stretches where we barely spoke because we were both tired and stubborn. But she stayed. She stayed through every bad year, every worry, every mistake I made. She stayed when I lost money. She stayed when I lost my temper. She stayed when I came home too late and too distracted and too full of myself to notice she had been waiting. One night, when we were both in our 60s, we were sitting on the porch after dinner. The sun was going down, and she looked at me and said, "Walter, one day this is what you'll miss. Not the office, not the money, just this." I smiled and nodded like I understood what she meant. The truth is, I did not yet. Helen died when I was 79. It was quick, too quick. 1 month we were planting flowers in the backyard, and the next I was standing in a hospital room holding a hand that was slowly growing colder in mine. After 54 years of marriage, the house became unbearably quiet. People tell you that grief gets easier, but that is not exactly true. You learn how to carry it, that is all. You learn how to wake up and make coffee for one person instead of 2. You learn how to walk past an empty chair without stopping every single time. For the first year after she was gone, I spent most of my days doing what I had always done. I kept busy. I organized drawers. I cleaned the garage. I watched the news too much. I told myself I was fine. Then one afternoon I found an old box in the closet. Inside were photographs, birthday cards, little drawings from the children, ticket stubs from movies Helen and I had seen 40 years earlier. There was a picture of my son standing in the garage holding that crooked wooden thing he had made. And there I was in the background, barely looking up from a stack of papers. I sat on the floor for a long time with that photograph in my hands. At 87, you do not cry the way you do when you are young. The tears come quieter, slower. They arrive with memories instead of noise. I started thinking about all the things I had spent my life worrying about. Promotions, deadlines, impressing people whose names I barely remember now. Men I worked beside for 20 years who disappeared from my life the moment I retired. I gave my best years to things that never once sat beside my hospital bed, never called to see how I was doing, never wrapped their arms around me when life became too heavy. The things that mattered were the things I kept setting aside for later. Helen sitting on the porch with a blanket over her knees. My daughter laughing so hard at dinner she could barely breathe. My son asking me to come look at something he had made. The mornings when the whole family was together and nobody was in a hurry. The little moments I thought were too ordinary to matter. Those were the real things. Those were the things that stayed. A few months ago, my grandson came to visit. He is 14 now, tall and awkward and always looking at his phone. We were sitting in the garage together because he was helping me clean out some old shelves. He found that same wooden project his father had made all those years ago. It was still there somehow, dusty and cracked and held together by old glue. "What is this?" he asked. I laughed a little and told him the story. Then he asked me something I did not expect. "Did Dad ever get mad at you for not looking?" I sat there for a second because children have a way of asking the questions adults avoid. And I said no, but I think he was disappointed. My grandson looked down at the old piece of wood in his hands and said, "You should probably tell him that." So I did. That night I called my son. We talked for almost 2 hours. I told him I was sorry for all the times I had not been there. I told him I had spent too much of my life thinking there would always be another chance. There was a long silence on the phone. Then he said, "Dad, I waited a long time to hear that." We both cried a little. You do not reach 87 without losing people. Friends disappear. Brothers and sisters go. The house gets quieter every year. The mirror becomes a stranger. And sooner or later you understand that life was never asking you to be impressive. It was asking you to be present. If I could go back and speak to the younger version of myself, I would not tell him to work harder or earn more money. I would tell him to sit at the dinner table a little longer. I would tell him to put down the papers and go into the garage. I would tell him to hold his wife's hand when she reached for it. Because one day the things you thought were small will be the things you miss the most. And if you are lucky, you still have time to notice them before they are gone.